Hey guys, it's your stock pledge Spencer. Just kind of catching up with the financial news for the day. Two things: the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up by 0.2%, and on the Nasdaq side or the tech side, you're actually looking at about negative 0.5%. Pretty steady day overall. Not a lot of price action movement. The Nasdaq was probably mostly negative just due to the big players having a little bit of price correction over just today, just because of increases in prices and so on. A few interesting things actually just in terms of news itself. So one of the things is that right now 10-year treasury yields are actually increasing on an upwards level, and they're just topping out at 1.5 right now, which is pretty significantly higher than the lows that we've been seeing throughout the coronavirus pandemic. One thing that's going to kind of lead up from this is that this is actually going to be a negative for the bond market just in general, and this was actually decreased bond prices. What's interesting about the treasury yields is that they're actually increasing due to the Fed saying that they're going to be changing up policy, mostly because not only are they going to slow down on repurchasing bonds, but they're also going to possibly raise interest rates by the end of the year as well. And so this actually has really lifted up yields right now in terms of treasury yields. This is also significant because this also means that bonds in general are going to get relatively more expensive. And you can even see that just by basic economic theory. And this will lead to equities being hurt in the process as well, because companies, it will be a lot more expensive for them to actually borrow money. And this will just hurt basic consumers as well, because their loans will become more expensive as interest rates go up, and so will their mortgages as well. So just keeping that in mind, the market is definitely in for a ride if the treasury yields keep rising the way they do, and also if the government decides to raise interest rates by the end of the year. So keep that in mind, definitely, just because the equity market will be very shaken. Companies that will actually do pretty well in this, though, are REITs, for example, ones that actually hold mortgage-backed securities, and anyone that basically deals with, mortgages in general. They're actually going to make a lot of money. I think a lot of people have been waiting for the REITs to actually be able to get that interest on their mortgages that they've been giving out to people. So that's going to be really interesting to see. Another thing that's also been quite interesting is that the Republicans have actually blocked the Democrats from suspending the debt ceiling, which could actually lead to a government shutdown soon, and one of the first times in American history where the American government has defaulted, which will affect the bond market certainly, because not only will that lead to a lack of faith from bondholders in general, but also from potentially new bondholders as well. And so that might itself start its own recession, just to be completely honest. Actually, how to kind of gain to exposure and maybe make a lot of money off this as well, because Michael Burry has already had this in mind for a while, is that he's currently shorting TLT, which is a treasury bond ETF actually. So if you do find a treasury bond ETF that does float your boat, definitely think about shorting that, or even doing put options, whatever works for you. I'm not really sure what the premium prices are right now, but that might be a pretty juicy trade in the future that you might want to look at, just because the returns are probably going to be maximized too, just by the end of the year, because the government has to raise interest rates due to the fact that we haven't really done anything with them since the start of the coronavirus, except pretty much lower them to try spurring on economic growth. But there is a time where we're going to have to start bumping them up again. And so you're going to see that reaction in the equity market and also in the bond ETFs as well, or treasury bond ETFs. And also another way to gain exposure to this and just in general is probably cryptocurrency, because equity is not going to be looked at as a safe haven anymore. Neither will bonds, really. This is a really interesting scenario, because not only will bonds be seen as ludicrous because the faith of the United States government is basically went out the window if they do decide to default for the first time, but equities are also going to be hurt as well by rising, treasury yields, just because companies it'll be a lot more expensive for them to borrow money for expansionary purposes. It's going to be a very interesting time when basically everything's going to get hit pretty hard. Cryptocurrency has always been kind of an oh shit hedge. It's not really directly tied to as an inflation hedge. It's more so if people do not have a lot of faith in their respective governments, or if they're kind of in a doomsday mode, that's when cryptocurrency really thrives. And we saw that too with Bitcoin during kind of the coronavirus in general, or Ethereum, or even altcoins, for example, as well. So definitely gained some exposure in there. I'm a big Ethereum guy myself. I've collected quite a bit over time. I've always been happy at the end of the day with it. Maybe wait for a lower price action too with Ethereum. I would optimally, if you can get in around 2200 to 2400. That would be prime, but that might take a while to wait for that dip as well. But it is also very volatile, so it could be very possible. But either cryptocurrency exposure or even, shorting treasury bond ETFs, especially the 20-year one, TLT. Follow Michael Burry, The Big Short. That's always some good ideas too. And I will also get back with more personalized picks myself, either from biopharma, to certain companies that are doing specifically with lithium technology. Well, sorry, just lithium in general, just due to that's the future. But yeah, also please contact me if you guys want to know anything. Just message me personally if you want to learn about options trading, or if you want to learn about like what is a margin account, how exactly do I set up a brokerage account, etc. Just let me know. And yeah, just let me know your feedback on this video. Thank you.